The Avengers, Doomsday director's teaser was a massive disappointment, if you weren't following this channel. But hold on, because a lot more came out of that event than most people are giving it credit for, and today we're breaking down every single detail. Welcome to Avengers Protocol, the channel where the MCU gets the depth of analysis it actually deserves. If you're new here, subscribe right now and hit that notification bell, because if you had been following this channel, none of what happened would have caught you off guard. And if you're already part of this community, you already know what to do. Drop a like on this video, it helps us enormously to keep producing this kind of content. The Russo brothers announced they would be at South by Southwest London, dropping a teaser alongside the Latvian flag symbol hinting that they had a surprise in store. A lot of people were expecting a full trailer. What we got instead was a Latveria-themed pop-up cafe. Stay with me, because it's not just that. There are several genuinely interesting details buried inside that cafe experience. But beyond the cafe itself, the Russos also held a panel where they spoke at length about the film, and Robert Downey Jr. was there in person. We're going to cover all of it, because they confirmed things about the upcoming films and about Doctor Doom specifically that are absolutely worth analyzing. The reason so many people walked away disappointed was a combination of factors that built up expectations for an actual trailer drop at the event. For instance, 2 videos were set to private on the Marvel Indonesia YouTube channel, which sent speculation into overdrive. But South by Southwest is a considerably more intimate event than something like Comic-Con. It's simply not the kind of venue where it makes sense to drop a massive trailer in front of thousands of fans going absolutely wild. A thematic activation like a pop-up cafe or store, on the other hand, is a perfect fit for that kind of event. That's exactly what they did, and it was intentional. Which brings us to the cafe menu, and this is the kind of detail that flies completely under the radar for most people, but it deserves your attention. Among the drink names on the menu, the Fortune 9, a single espresso, the Del Rey, a hot drink, the Cynthia Blend, a matcha, and Zephyr, in a dark version. One of those names stands out immediately, Cynthia. That is the name of Doctor Doom's mother in the comics. The fact that they specifically chose that name out of every possible option, Victor, Latveria, Doom itself, and placed the name of Doctor Doom's mother on that menu strongly suggests that the character's backstory, his relationship with his mother, is going to be present and meaningful in this film, at least in terms of establishing who he is. Think about it this way. If Cynthia was never going to be mentioned or referenced in the story, there would be absolutely no reason to put her name there. Another telling detail is that the entire cafe is themed around Latveria as a kingdom, not specifically around Victor Von Doom as an individual, but around the realm of Latveria itself. That reinforces the idea that this version of Doctor Doom is genuinely the ruler of Latveria, with a backstory that runs faithful to the comics rather than diverging from it. In fact, the Russo brothers announced the surprise with an image of a fragment of the Latvian flag, and in the video released by the event, you can see the full flag on display. Before we get into the best parts, hit that like button right now. It gives this video incredible reach and helps the channel in a real way. And if you're not subscribed to Avengers Protocol yet, do it right now and turn on notifications so you don't miss a single analysis coming up. Every like and every subscription is what makes it possible for us to keep producing this content at the level this community deserves. Ready? Let's keep going. Speaking with Deadline, the directors mentioned they are still actively working on Avengers, Doomsday, and have already begun pre-production on Secret Wars. What does that actually mean in practical terms? The film releasing this year, 2027, is most likely going through final visual effects refinements, and there is still a window to film special appearances and add shorter scenes. We know this because the directors themselves said they will keep working on Doomsday until it's no longer possible to make changes, which for them would be around November, when the release is too close to make meaningful alterations. On the other side of that, confirming that pre-production on Secret Wars has already started means they're not just refining the story and working on concept art, they're actively thinking about new scenes and special appearances for various characters, and they're doing all of that with full awareness of everything they've already built in Doomsday. According to behind-the-scenes information, they may even be filming certain Secret Wars scenes alongside Doomsday footage, which is exactly what they did previously with Infinity War, where they got ahead of themselves and filmed certain endgame scenes before that film's principal photography had even officially begun. When asked by Deadline whether they're planning any additional Avengers films beyond this, the director said that for now their narrative vision extends only through Secret Wars, meaning the next 2 films. But it's important to be precise here. That does not mean they couldn't return to the Avengers world in the future. This is what they said, and it's worth quoting directly. When we made Endgame, we said, we completed this. It was our 4th Marvel film. We completed a narrative arc that we started in Captain America, the Winter Soldier. For us it was basically an ending. So I'll say this, The stories we're focused on now are complete. Avengers, Doomsday and Avengers, Secret Wars speak to each other as two films and form a complete expression. If we're going to collaborate with Marvel after that, it's certainly a possibility. But right now the narrative vision is just through Secret Wars. Let's see how we feel in 2028, and we'll let you know. Honestly, that is excellent news. They are locked in on doing the best possible work, and whatever comes after that can be figured out later. In a separate conversation with Variety, they also spoke specifically about Doctor Doom. What they said, and I'll paraphrase here, is that when they adapt comic book stories to film, they're always looking for a balance between the things they love about the source material that need to be translated to the screen with complete faithfulness, and the things that need to be original and cinematic, even if they don't come directly from the comics. Fidelity and originality in balance, with the goal of satisfying fans on both ends. And in the case of Doctor Doom, that balance was the defining factor. For them, Victor Von Doom achieves that equilibrium perfectly. He fits into the story they're telling in a way that feels original and uniquely cinematic, while simultaneously being ridiculously faithful to the most powerful elements of the character from the comics. That's a bold claim, and based on everything we've seen and heard so far, it sounds like they mean it. They also spoke about the challenge of working with such a large ensemble cast, and said that a lot of how they manage that comes down to very subtle shifts in point of view throughout the narrative. That's completely true and something they've already demonstrated, not just in Infinity War and Endgame, but going back to their Captain America films, where they consistently juggled multiple characters without losing focus on any of them. But the most interesting thing they said is this: they are going back to Phase 0. Starting over from the beginning. Not leaning on anything from the past. A completely new direction. And they said to expect changes and transformations within the Avengers, be ready for that. Now, I found that genuinely curious, because we already know Steve Rogers is coming back, played by the original actor Chris Evans. The Fox X-Men are also returning. And Robert Downey Jr. is back as a new character entirely. So on the surface, it seems slightly contradictory to say you're not leaning on the past when, in practice, you're leaning on quite a lot of it. That said, giving them the benefit of the doubt, what they likely mean is this: even though they're bringing back familiar elements and faces, their intention is to tell a new story, one that doesn't require you to have seen everything that came before in order to work. So while Doomsday may be presented as a continuation of Endgame in the timeline, it should function as a continuation in the sense that it's a new story happening after those events. The characters are older, they're the same people we saw in Endgame, but they're in a different chapter of their lives, facing something completely different. To me, that's a genuinely compelling creative approach. The event also included a special screening of Avengers, Infinity War, and among those in attendance were Anthony Mackie, the new Captain America, and Winston Duke, currently the King of Wakanda. But the one who showed up as a complete surprise was him. The one and only. Robert Downey Jr. in person, Victor Von Doom, Dr. Doom, the former Iron Man, the man of many names, walked into that room with every ounce of charisma and presence you'd expect. Pure aura. The room felt it immediately. Downey Jr. also said something that stopped me in my tracks. His exact words: "What we've been working so hard on, and for so long, over this past year is this: we cannot top, nor can we stand on the shoulders of those two cinematic giants that were Infinity War and Endgame. So we are literally resetting the board. We are going to try to earn your trust and your respect all over again. And with people like these," referring to the directors and the cast, "I think we have a pretty good shot." That is an extraordinary framing for this film. And this is something I want to go much deeper on in a dedicated video, because the point stands: you cannot top Endgame. You have to start over. And that is exactly what these films appear to be doing. The Russo brothers already said when they visited Brazil that these new Avengers films would represent a new beginning. It sounds like they've stayed true to that vision all along. What do you think about all of this? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. I genuinely love reading what this community has to say. If you made it to the end, hit that like button right now. It takes 1 second and it makes a real difference for the channel. Subscribe to Avengers Protocol if you haven't already, and follow us so you never miss an analysis. Every single interaction from you is what allows us to keep producing this level of content for this entire community. There are more videos on screen right now, go watch one. Thanks for being here. As always, absolutely phenomenal. This is Avengers Protocol, signing out.